Hello, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. Still have a few people trickling in, and so I'm going to kind of let it steady just a little bit, and then we will go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your busy days to learn more about Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're really excited to share with you. Oh, just two more people. Come on. All right, people are still joining in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just a couple more people. And guys, I apologize. My cat has been very vocal today. So if you hear meowing in the background, it is him. Hi, Vivian. I'm going to allow you to talk, okay? Vivian? Because I saw you raise your hand.
Oh, that was an accident.
Okay. You're fine.
But I do want to say hello to everyone that's on the call. Especially if there's anyone on the call that I already know from Middle Tennessee and Clarksville and Chattanooga. This is your girl.
Thanks, Vivian.
I don't know. Is my hand still raised?
It is, but I can lower it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So welcome. Welcome to Go Big Tennessee. And happy National Mentoring Month. We are so excited to share everything we have with you and what Big Brothers Big Sisters is all about. And I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Allison Woods, and I'm looking at other people raising their hands. My name is Allison Woods, and I am the Director of Annual Giving and Recruitment at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee. And so I just wanted to say hello. I will be kind of guiding you and hosting you today, and going through a little bit of slideshow. And just wanted to say welcome. Okay, let me answer. There's a couple of questions. And I'm going to move to the next slide and go over a few housekeeping stuff. Okay, housekeeping rules. So if you have a question, or if you're wanting to, if you have a technical question and you want me to answer it, go into the chat. You can, and there's a little caret, and it says to, and there's a little caret, and you can do a pull down. And so with that, you can message me directly. So feel free to talk with one another in the chat. You guys are already doing that and doing a great job. If you have any questions, please submit them using the Q&A button. And I know that sometimes the Q&A button might not work, and so people will use the chat. We'll monitor both of them. And we will answer all questions at the end of our presentation. And so again, if you have any technical questions, oh, tell Caroline, I will. If you have any technical questions, just make sure to message me directly, and I'll try and help you out as best as I can. All right. So next thing that is on the agenda is we want to hear from you. So I'm going to launch a poll, and I'm going to let our panelists even vote here. And I've got a couple of questions. All right. So first question, what do you hope to learn during today's webinar? You can pick as many as you would like. It's multiple choice. And this will kind of help us be able to make sure that we're getting you the information that you need. And then the second question is, what area of Tennessee are you in? And I've tried to represent all of the areas. And so if you're from somewhere and you're like, I don't know which one is closer, well, we can help figure that out too. Knoxville is representing today. I love seeing it. All right. Let's see. Right now, I've got 35 of you participating. And so I just want to ask a couple more of you to join in. I'll give it another 40 seconds. Oh, still trickling in. A little bit more. We're at 70%. Awesome. I feel like 70% is a good amount. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'll share the results with you. All right. Exciting, exciting. Okay. So the big question is, what does virtual mentoring look like? Whoo, man, that's a great question. And it's really, as we've been talking to potential volunteers, it's a really big question that they have. And so we are really excited to address how we are working with our bigs and our littles to keep kids connected, right? That's the big hashtag. And then also, what area of Nashville are you in? Oh, Knoxville, good job. East Tennessee is really representing. So excited to have all of you guys here. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, I am going to stop sharing the results. Oh, and Jessica Watley is saying that BBBS of East Tennessee has their Tri-Cities office, which covers Johnson City. So if you're kind of in one of those between cities. All right, next. So this is just a really basic overview. So our mission is to support and create one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. And our vision is that all youth achieve their full potential. Throughout the state of Tennessee, we have a variety of different programs, and you'll hear about the programs today from our panelists and from the people serving in those areas, as well as Big Brothers, Big Sisters staff. And so each one of us are working really hard to keep all of our kids connected to their bigs during this time. And we're making that possible. We're making it easy because we understand that it is something very, very important to our volunteers, to our companies who want to create volunteer programs. And we're doing it. We're making it happen. And so next up, I want to share a video with you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can share another screen. Maybe you'll just give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Let me make sure the sound. All right, I am going to share a video clip with you guys. And this is something that our national office put together, and I'm going to share it now.
Hey, what's up? Kevin here from Big Brothers Big Sisters. Even though this coronavirus pandemic has separated us physically, it has not separated us virtually.
I talked to my little sister Manara the other day, and it was so fun to see her face.
Though it's not the same as the in-person connection, it still really makes my day, and I think it makes her day as well.
Every time we talk, I constantly remind him to stay on top of his homework.
Be present and at that moment and focus on your relationship.
I know that this coronavirus can be scary.
Just know this is just temporary. That's all it is.
This is just a bump in the road, and there's a whole highway ahead of us.
Other than that, I just say, I believe in you.
We're in this together. We're going to get through it together as a community.
We just got to use this time to strengthen each other, and we're doing that.
Well, that's all I got. How do I hang this thing up?
All right, stopping sharing my screen again. So that's a little bit what virtual mentoring looks like these days. We are working to connect with our bigs and littles through Zoom and through social distancing activities. And one of the things that we really love about Big Brothers Big Sisters of America is that because we are a big national organization, we have that affiliation, we are allowed to be extremely evidence-based. And there is research that shows during this time that even though we are not necessarily able to see each other face to face, that we are still fulfilling that social connection just by doing these videos and interacting with each other through video. And that's even more important than texting and email and phone calls, but it's the seeing another person's face on video is that key thing. And so we are excited to share with you how that's working and how each of our attendees are making that happen. And so right now, I would like to introduce Greg Thunderberg. He is a member of the Big Impact Group for Young Professionals in Chattanooga. He is a big advocate of our programs, and he's also an anchor on Chattanooga's Channel 9 morning show. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, how's it going? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Thank you so much for doing this. This is really amazing. I'm really excited to have you be a part of it.
So happy to be a part of this as well. We have a number of different panelists that are going to be on our panel today to talk a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters and the great work this organization does, not just in Tennessee, but around the entire country. So first up, we have from East Tennessee, Big Sister, we have Erin Donovan this afternoon. We also have from Memphis, the Mid-South area, former little brother, Cedric Henderson. Also in Clarksville, we have Big Sister Tangi C. Smith. And in Middle Tennessee, we have in Nashville, Jeff Jensen. And finally, we have in Chattanooga, Teo Valdez from Chattanooga. So thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. I have some questions we're going to talk to you about when it comes to Big Brothers Big Sisters and the great work this organization is doing. So in no particular order, you can jump into the conversation. First off, how much time does it really take to volunteer in this organization? Jeff, we'll start with you.
Okay. I participate in the school-based program, so it's not a huge commitment. It feels just right. Once a week for a little over an hour. Typically drive time. Right now we're virtual, but it's not a huge commitment, and it feels like a shot in the arm. It's just such a nice break to get away, go spend some time with my little, and come back to the office. And it's invigorating.
And Erin, what about you? You are a big sister right now. What is it like to be a part of the program?
It's a great program. This is my second little. So it's almost 2 years now, but as Jeff said, I don't think it doesn't take any extra time. It really is just a great thing that we can do. And it all depends on your little, how much time do they want to spend? I have a 12-year-old little now. So, she's too cool sometimes, but, that's just how it is. But it can be anywhere from an hour to a day.
Theo, what about you?
It's changed a lot over the course of time. Before it was virtual, I would find that I'd end up spending more time than I necessarily had to, because sometimes we'd go hiking in the morning and decide to get lunch too or something like that. So I enjoyed the time, and we didn't necessarily track. Like, it wasn't a burden that I was trying to keep track of. I think now that when we meet, it's virtual. I mean, it really doesn't take hardly any time, because we're not staying on Zoom for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, which would have been like minimum of my other outings. So you can make of it what you want. I think you can make a lot out of an hour and a half, a couple times a month if you're doing short outings, but you might find that you want to spend more time than that.
Another question this afternoon is how do you manage your time? And so, Cedric, you're a former little brother. Can you chime in with us? I don't think Cedric is on the call this afternoon. So, you know what? Let's go over to Jeff. What do you think? How do you manage your time when it comes to, being active in the program?
Well, probably the best advice I got when I first started, and I've been very blessed. I'm with the same little brother, Jamian, that I started with when he was in first grade, and he's in 8th grade now. And it was an issue back then. It's an issue now. Don't let them spend all their time on the computer. So when I first started, they were like, once a month they can get on the computer, and the computer is great, when you're visiting with them, but it's hard to compete with Minecraft. So we really, he loves to get outdoors. So when the weather's nice, just being outdoors is excellent. And it's good for him. It's good for me.
Jeff, speaking of your relationship with your little being so long since elementary school, what has really sustained this relationship all the way from elementary school to almost high school?
Gosh, we're kindred spirits. We laugh a lot. Laughter is the best medicine. We laugh a lot. We have a lot of fun doing the simplest things. And when the weather is yucky and we're inside and we're doing board games or card games, we're laughing. And that's something that's the universal language of love. And so it's just been great for both of us.
Also, Tangi, did you just join the call this afternoon?
Yes, sir, I did. We had a little technical difficulties.
You know what? It's okay. We've been in this whole pandemic thing since March of last year. So we're just, keep moving along. I have a question for you, my friend. So for you, how do you manage your time when it comes to participating in Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Right. So it was actually a blessing to me, because she came at a time that my youngest daughter graduated high school and went off to college. So I was kind of feeling that too. And what we do, we hang out. I mean, Big Brothers and Big Sisters did an excellent job in pairing us, because we are one of the same. I'm extra and so is she. So, and I was like, did I birth you? So we do a lot of stuff together. And like, I'll pick her up on the way to like my county meetings and stuff like that. And she'll go there and, she'll meet the mayor. So she wants to take pictures and sit behind the desk. So it's really easy. It's not, like everyone else said, it's not a burden at all. And we spend way more than an hour together. We kind of make a day of it.
Our next question this afternoon is, how do you make time for Big Brothers Big Sisters and join? A lot of people say, I don't have time. I have to work. I have kids. I have this. And, Erin, you've been a part of this program as well. So when you think about the time management, how do you make time to be a mentor?
How do you not make time? I think that's probably the biggest question. Mm-hmm. I mean, these kids really need us, and we can tell by the kids that are on the wait list and stuff like that, that we definitely need to take the time. It doesn't, as we said before, it doesn't take a lot of time. You know, you have a lunch hour, you can change it. You know, you are going to sit and watch television for an hour, go do something, make something a little bit different that actually helps somebody. But I think one of the big things too, that we'll probably get to at some point is, it's not just the time that you're taking to be with them, it's the time that they're taking to be with you. And that's going to change you also.
So Teo, for you, when it comes to making the time, what has been the big thing for you to make time to do this?
I think it's just we do plan it. You know, it's not going to happen, I think, if you try to just do it off the cuff. So, you know, we have to coordinate with, my wife and I both have littles and they're siblings. So we have to reach out to their mom. Actually, we usually now reach out to all of them together. We send a group text and like talk about when we're going to be meeting next. But like that, it does take some initiative. You can't just be like, hey, how about we do this now? For a long time, we had a recurring reminder in our calendar, like it's time to set up another time with the littles. And that's what we would do. Now, we had a baby at the end of last year and things have been a little bit crazy, but so we haven't quite been on that schedule in the same way with the calendar, but we still stay in touch and we've been finding times to get on Zoom and things like that.
You know, the really complicated part about the whole pandemic since March of last year, when this was declared a pandemic, a lot of people have a hard time trying to get out and do something. So starting with you, Jeff, when it comes to doing something with your little, how difficult has it been to get creative during the pandemic?
And that has been a challenge. I'm grateful. Our coordinator, she had great ideas. In fact, you know, through the summer, you know, we were sending letters, and my little he has a hard time with, you know, writing and even reading, but his mom was reading it to him. And so our coordinator really helped with that, you know, when there were challenges. So that's been helpful.
So Tanji, for you, considering that you got into this program because your daughter, your child had gone off to college, what was it like continuing to stay active with your little, but also I'm sure your college student was at home as well?
No, my college student was actually in Atlanta. She goes to Spelman.
Oh,
So
okay, good. Okay.
I was in Middle Tennessee by myself. So she kind of became like my surrogate daughter. And unlike a lot of people in the pandemic, you know, government really didn't stop. And so we kept going. And I would ask her, you know, she would come places with me and I would say, is this boring you? But again, she's just like me. So it didn't bore her. And I would pick her up and we would just do things together. Like last year, the Veterans Day Parade, we marched in the Veterans Day Parade together. So we just, whatever I'm doing, I'll kind of ask her, hey, you want to do this? Or do you want to do that? And then afterwards we go get something to eat or go by the mall. And because she's 12 too, so, you know, she thinks she's cool, but I think I'm the cool mom. So, you know, kind of works out.
You know, to the panelists, I'm going to add a question in here this afternoon. This was not on the list, but just, you know, thinking of everything we've gone through with the pandemic, and a lot of people have had a hard time being to themselves, not being able to be out and congregate with everyone. So Aaron, for you, when it comes to working with your little, how have you been able to help your little through understanding what's happening with the pandemic and that they have to social distance? You can't do certain things that we have done before March 13th of last year. And hopefully, you know, we'll get over this hump.
I may not be the right person for this one because I have the little sister that's actually the big sister of a 3-person family. And so she probably takes care of her siblings, informing them of all of that. But we talk about it a lot and just sort of try to explain things. It was a big year for her because she changed schools. So all 3 kids are going to the same school now. So they're all sort of on that same path. But yeah, we just sort of talk about it. And I think talking about that loneliness because she can't go be with her friends. And I think that's one of the big things. And then I just heard my other little who graduated out of the program, who's now in college, she just texted yesterday and was like, I really miss you. We really need to get together. So it's just checking on them. And even once they get out of the program, you know, once you've been with somebody for 10 years, they're still always sort of going to be a part of your life. But yeah, just talking to her about the loneliness. I think that's the one thing. And then reminding her, you know, I'm alone. It's okay. You know, I have pets and, you know, your friends are still there, but she's also in that texty thing. So she's texting all the time. And so I'll text her mom and be like, so I asked a question and she's like, she fell asleep last night at 6 o'clock because they got to watch the inauguration yesterday. So it's just a lot of talking back and forth and texting and just reminding them, you know, I'm the same way. Like I don't get to see my friends either. But yeah.
You know, speaking of the inauguration yesterday, it has been the past several years, a lot of people, the country's been divided on so many different topics. And so for you, Teo, when it comes to your little, how do you have the conversation about how things have been so divided in our country, but also helping your little understand what's going on and helping us move forward?
It's interesting that you asked that. It's something I've been really trying to figure out myself. You know, actually one of my professors, I'm in a doctoral program right now. One of my professors is an expert in like mentorship. And I had a conversation with him about my relationship with my little, who's a Black kid. And I said how we haven't we barely talked about race. And this was at the end of last semester. And my professor was encouraging me to have some of those conversations. And I think, you know, I was hesitant because I was like, you know, I don't want to overstep my bounds. I don't want to offend anybody. But it's something I'm wanting to do. And I think I was thinking, well, maybe when the COVID thing's over. But to be honest, I think I want to go there, but I don't have a lot of experience to speak from. It's interesting that you asked that.
And for you, Tangi, you know, a lot of things happen in the country over the past several years. And yesterday, no matter how you voted, it was a historic day to see a woman ascend to the second highest office in our country. So for you, have you had that conversation with your little?
Well, again, like Teo said, it's very interesting because, you know, I'm in government, so I would bring her with me. And being in local government, you kind of get to, it's not really a political thing with us because we all live in the same community and we're all friends. And I am partisan, you know, my position, and I am a Democrat. However, 3 times I got invited to the White House last year to talk about some things going on with my nonprofit. So she got to see that. She got to see that it didn't matter. It's just all for the greater good. You know, she got to experience that with me, and she got to see that, you know, I was the only one from Montgomery County that got a Christmas card from the White House. I was like, y'all get one? And so she's extra with me. So we were like high-fiving each other. So, you know, she gets to see that it's, you know, it's okay. And I think that's the best thing because I really didn't have to talk about it. I just kind of showed her, you know, the actions that I can do this because this is what I want to do. This is for veteran women. And it doesn't matter who the person is. If you're going to help, then you're going to help. So
that is a good way to put it. I really appreciate your commentary on that. Also, just into the conversation this afternoon, we have our friend Cedric Henderson. He's a former little, and he's on the call this afternoon. So Cedric, first off, for you, when you think about your time as a little and then moving as an adult, what has it been like being a part of this program from years ago when you were a kid to now being an adult?
Well, it's been, can y'all hear me? Yes, it's been a very good experience. It actually gives me a lot of different perspective on seeing things. The guy who was my big was Paul Billings, who he was a lawyer, and of course he was of a different race. So I got to see a different culture from him, and an experience that made me open my eyes to other things. Being from the inner city, you know, I didn't know a lot of things out there. So now knowing and going to see things in different perspectives gives me a chance to give back with the people who I'm around, especially being in coaching and mentoring these young men, to let them know the world is big and to have an open mind to see things differently in a different light.
Cedric, thanks so much again. Also this afternoon, this next question, the participants on the panel, they've already gotten these questions. So I'm gonna go this way. A lot of times in the workplace, we may not like someone, or we may not like someone in our personal life, or someone we deal with. Sometimes it's family. You know how that is, right? So right. The next question this afternoon is, what if I don't like my little? And I'm not going to pick on anybody. So I'm going to let you guys just chime in first. Who wants to go first again? What if I don't like my little? Not just if you don't like your little, but how you were able to get through the rough patches in that relationship to make it a stronger bond, or if you had to go to the organization to get some reinforcement from within your local organization in your part of the state.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer this. I didn't have that situation myself, but our company is, we have 6 people that are big brothers at our company that participate in the same program I do. And one of the young ladies, she encountered something that kind of caught her off guard, and she was uncomfortable with it. You know, her little identified as, you know, an alternative lifestyle, and she wasn't really comfortable with that. And I told her, I said, reach out to your resources. They can help you with that. And you know, she got great support from the coordinator, and really could see past her belief system or what have you. And they are still connected. And it was an education for this person. I think she learned more from her little than her little did from her. And, you know, I talked to her recently about it. She's like, you know, if you don't know and you don't understand, sometimes, you know, you have to take the blinders off. And so I'm proud of her because she did reach out to the coordinator. I don't know what the coordinator said, but, you know, she stuck with it. And, you know, I'm proud of her for that. So that's pretty cool.
And a great point you brought up there, Jeff. Anybody else on the panel? I just want to ask you this. What is it, jumping off of that, what is something that you guys have learned from your little? Maybe you thought differently about something, or maybe your little said something that made you say, aha, as Oprah Winfrey would say. What was that aha moment for you that made you say, you know what, I should think about this differently, and where your little was being having a teachable moment with you?
I don't want to monopolize this, but, you know, we were talking about politics, and, you know, my little said to me, he goes, well, I know you're a Trump supporter. And we had a really good conversation about that. I said, why? And he goes, well, because you're white, you know? And I'm like, hey, buddy, you know what? You know, politics is tricky, but we just had a really good conversation. And, you know, whether I was or wasn't, which, you know, quite frankly, I wasn't, but, you know, we had to have a conversation, and it was a good conversation because he'd heard from his family, and, you know, he just thought that I was. And I said, that you just don't want to be in that position where you make those assumptions about color, about age. I mean, I said, I can totally understand why you think that, but it was a good conversation, and he's very honest, and I love it. That's something I really enjoy.
And so, Teo, for you, when it came to breaking the ice for your relationship with your little, you and your wife, how did you guys handle that and going through that process?
So I've been working, you know, mentoring this same young man for about 4 years. So it's been a little while. I mean, I think it was just the consistency. Oh man, I know that when I first met him, he was a lot quieter with me. But I mean, at this point, like he'll just talk and talk and talk to me. And so, I mean, I really think that, you know, when a young person sees that you consistently are there for them and taking an interest and concern for them, I mean, I think that a real trust relationship can come out of that. And that's, you know, I don't think there was anything in particular that I did other than be there consistently for him.
And Cedric, what about you? How did you break the ice with your little? Looks like we lost Cedric there. Tangi, what about you? How did you break the ice with your little?
Well, I was throwing a Christmas party, and again, my little ex exactly like me. I don't know how they did this thing. I just don't know how they did this, but she is like a clone of me. So the breaking the ice, it was just like, she acts more like me than my daughter. And so it was no breaking the ice. The one thing I did learn about my little is that I really have to watch what I say and do around her, because she told me all her mama's business. So I was like, ooh. And then I thought, I'm probably glad that I'm her big, because, like some people might have been like, it wasn't anything bad, but it was just a lot. And she was just like, and girl, and I was like, yeah. So we didn't have to break the ice. She came in like she owned the place.
Wow. Aaron, what about you? How did you break the ice with your littles?
With my first little, there was no breaking the ice. As soon as I walked in the front door, she just grabbed onto me and didn't let go for another 10 years. The little I have now was a lot harder because she had a big right before me, and that big had left. And so we had some trust issues that I was going to leave, as soon as I was done. And I was like, nope, you're stuck with me. And then so we had to have a lot of conversations about that and just let her sort of tell me, I expect you to leave. Because, her family, there's other issues that go on in the background of her family that I'm also having to sort of deal with. So it's just a lot of that. And so just taking that time, and as these guys said, just sitting down and listening. And then finally, I think she realized, wow, this crazy lady isn't going anywhere. And she keeps coming around, and she hugs my little brother, and my little brother loves her, and my mom talks to her, and my grandma talks to her. So I think that it just took a little bit longer for me to actually become her big and become her friend.
And Cedric, looks like you're back on the call this afternoon. For you, what has it been like? A lot of times when you're dealing with the littles, you have report card time, there's discipline problems sometimes in school, sometimes there may not be a discipline problem. How have you helped your little when it comes to making sure they're making good grades, taking the initiative to do homework, all of that?
Well, for me, I get to use sports a lot because, the first thing they're going to say, wow, you're a tall guy, what you used to do? So I use sports to an advantage. And I try to say, if you want to be a great athlete, it's to do things that are not exciting. So I use school as a gateway to say, hey, if you can do the things you don't like to do because you're going to love to play sports, that's going to show a lot of high character. So I try to use that to motivate them to always do the best they can be and make them as competitive in the classroom as they are in sports. So I try to always advise them, it's okay to be successful. Sometimes, in today's society, kids are ashamed to be successful. They're ashamed of it. So now I try to let them know, hey, it's good to be celebrated and for doing the right thing. So I try to encourage it as much as I can in that aspect of it, because a lot of young people, they are ashamed of being called the nerd or the smart or the teacher's pet. And I say, hey, that is actually a great compliment. So I try to use it in a positive spin as much as I can.
As we wrap up this afternoon, if anyone watching, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section. I can see them here. Also, as we move along this afternoon and wrap up this conversation with our panelists, for you guys, I'm going to ask each one of you this question. What is or was your favorite activity with your little? Starting with you, Jeff.
Oh boy. Well, I work at a pizza company, so we like to eat pizza together. Other than outdoor activities, he and I, we can just polish off a pizza like that. So, but no, honestly, outdoor activities, we really enjoy just being outdoors and doing just about anything and everything we can think of.
What about you, Teo?
I would say we did a rafting trip that was organized by our local Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that was just awesome. It was a beautiful day, and it was just like, when we have the opportunity, we'll definitely want to do that again.
Aaron, what about you?
I think one of my favorites is when I actually got both girls together so that old and new could meet each other and sort of talk to each other and realize, wow, this program really does work. And it was pretty amazing. But normally just going to the movies because they just like sitting there watching it and they're not bothered by anything.
What about you, Tangi?
I think my favorite was one of our first meetings, first outings. And every year we have a toy drive. So we have a community Christmas party, and there's hundreds of kids come there. And she actually helped me facilitate that. Getting the kids in order and giving out toys. And she got to see that there are other kids out here, that actually need help. And she was the one that was helping. She was the one that was giving. you know, at this point, and not the one that's getting. And I think that she really, that made her feel special. Because, you know, I think even as adults, you know, sometimes if you can give, it makes you feel good when you're able to give. So I think that was really fun for her. She was really excited about that, even though she insisted on getting a toy at the end. But, you know.
Cedric, what about you?
Most of the time I get to hang out at games and get to show the guys and teach them the basketball games and stuff like that. So I think they enjoy the sports, and that's one of the greatest things we get to do.
You know, the really cool thing about the kids today, and I've noticed I have a niece and a nephew. My niece is in college. My nephew is in 8th grade, is TikTok and also Snapchat has become like the big thing. And I'm just 36 years old, but they had to give me a tutorial on TikTok over the holidays because I'm having to use it for my job in TV news. I can't believe it. So every year it seems like they're adding something new. For each of the bigs this afternoon, how have you guys have you taken the time to learn TikTok or, you know, Snapchat or Instagram so that you can have that other connection? Because I've noticed since I've been on Snapchat and TikTok, I have a closer relationship with my niece and nephew. Jeff, starting with you.
Oh yeah, had to download TikTok right away because I'm getting quite a few of those from him. And we also went and did the different screenshots of pictures of ourselves. I'm trying to think of what, but we laughed so hard. I mean, tears, both of us running down our eyes. So the youth of this generation, you better get on board or you'll be left behind. You know.
Are you doing the dances, Jeff? No. Okay. What about you, Teo?
I have not gotten on TikTok or any of that stuff, but I will say that my wife and I used to make videos for our business, and our two littles were like, I think most of the hits we got to our YouTube videos were our littles, and they would comment too. So we did do kind of social media connection, but not on TikTok.
Aaron, what about you?
I have Instagram with my first little, and then my rabbit has TikTok. So he's on it, but I'm not dancing. Nope.
Okay. Miss Tangi, what about you, my friend?
I cannot navigate TikTok. I tried. And she said that the next time we get together, she's going to give me a tutorial.
I think you should take her up on that.
I am. I'm going to. She sent me, my Snapchat is private for a reason. She sent me a request and I was like, no, ma'am. I need something for me.
You know, I'll say actually.
She is on my Facebook and my Instagram, but Snapchat is all mine. Like I need some me space, you know.
Similarly, I have like a rule that I don't have followers who are under 18 on Instagram. I told him when he turns 18, he can have access to my Instagram.
So Cedric, what about you? Are you dancing with the sports players on TikTok?
I follow them, but I don't do it myself personally because I have to kind of keep an eye on them. But it is some amazing things on TikTok and all that stuff. But it is a fun thing, and I haven't really learned how to operate those things yet. I guess I'm getting into that officially. I'm an old guy role, so maybe I get one of my kids to teach me how to do it.
As we wrap up this afternoon with the panelists, I want to say thank you guys for participating. Why did you enroll in this program? Aaron, starting with you.
I was actually doing a live shot. I used to work at our Channel 10 here in Knoxville, and Brent, who is now our executive director, was there, and we were doing a story on an event that Big Brothers Big Sisters was having, and I was like, oh, this seems really cool. And then I went through the whole process, and that's just how it started. I was just like, hi, I have some extra time. I really didn't have extra time, but in my mind I had time and I made time. And so I don't even know how many years later, here we are.
Wow. What about you, Cedric?
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry. I had to hit a mute button. I had somebody come in my office, but I don't remember. What was the question again? I'm sorry. I was distracted.
No, you're fine. Why did you enroll in the program?
Well, myself being a little, I thought it was one of the greatest ways to give back because the program did such a great thing for me, getting to meet a guy like Paul Billings who taught me a lot. So I felt like, you know, hey, I should do the same thing. It's like a gift that keeps on giving.
Looks like the bell is ringing. Also, Tangi, what about you?
Again, my daughter had graduated. I retired from the Army after 21 years in 2017. And so those were like my babies. The soldiers were like my baby. And then my baby graduated. And I just felt like I still had so much to give. And I had no one to give it to, So I thought that, first I said, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I didn't want to really take anybody else's kid because, so many complications. And I know that Big Brothers and Big Sisters, you have to go through this background check and everybody is vetted, and so that's what happened. And it took a while for everything to go through, but I see why. And they did a really great job. But it was because I felt like I needed her as much as she needed me. And I felt like I had a lot to offer, another kid. And I'm not having more babies, so.
What about you, Teo?
Well, I was a teacher and sort of still am a teacher, but I had left teaching for a little while. And I have kind of a philosophy that I should always be giving into the next generation. And so since I was no longer in the classroom, I saw this as an opportunity to continue living up to kind of my own value of giving to the next generation.
And finally, Jeff, what about you? Why did you get up in this program?
Well, I owe it all to our leadership team. They sponsored, they participated in the breakfast, and then they brought in the CEO to talk to our company about it, and they thought, well, we'll pick Jeff to be the guinea pig, and I'm so glad. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, now we have 6 other people in our company that do the school program, and it's been great. It aligns great with our culture and our values, and so it's been a wonderful relationship.
It has been a pleasure talking to each of you this afternoon. Again, give a shout out to Jeff, Teo, Aaron, also Tangi and Cedric. Thank you guys so much for sharing your time and being a part of this panel this afternoon. Some great information. I've enjoyed the conversation. I hope everyone else took something from this conversation. So Allison, I'm going to turn it back over to you, my friend.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for participating. And you guys feel free to stick around. We've got a couple of questions and that are coming in. And so let's see, we have one that I feel like is most appropriate to be said by our panelists. But what would you tell a family, friend, or coworker about the program?
Can I get, well,
yeah.
All right, so I just founded a military sorority. And so we actually implemented our little heroines program, the same thing that Jeff was saying, that's one of the things that we encourage is all of them to go to their local Big Brothers and Big Sisters. And it's about 8 of us in Tennessee, but we're in 33 different states. So we encourage them to go to and participate with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters in their state, in their area. So maybe next year I'll tell you how that worked out. But
and I think what Aaron said is so true. You get so much more out of it than you put into it. When I started, I thought I'm going to have to make this a priority, but it was a pleasure, and I looked forward to it every week. And when my little was sick, I was devastated. Oh no, I don't get to see him. So you get a lot more out of it than you put into it. It's really wonderful.
I would just tell somebody to really plan for the long haul on this. I would say, don't plan this to be like, I think they ask for a year commitment or something, but I would really encourage you to think about this as something that a relationship that you're going to be building for years.
Thank you guys so much. I wanted to kind of step back a little bit and answer, Jeff, I loved your answer and loved the story that you told about kind of what happens if you and your little are not getting along. So one of the really wonderful things about Big Brothers Big Sisters, and this is nationwide, is that we provide you with a match support specialist. So someone who is coaching you through the mentorship process. One of the things about being a mentor with Big Brothers Big Sisters is you actually get to learn how to mentor. And that's something that you can use with your little, but you can use that anytime in your life. And so it's really amazing. And so if there's ever a moment that you're like, I don't know how to broach this question, something weird happened, we're just not getting along, we will work with you to make the relationship better. And if it's just really not working, at any time, the little or the big can close the relationship. It takes a lot of consideration to get to that point. So it's not something we do lightly, but we can do that. But we really work hard to make sure that our bigs and our littles are matched well. It's a grueling interview process. You know, one of my friends, I was just talking to her earlier this morning, and she is going through the she's going through the process of becoming a big, and she was like, it's like going to therapy, the questions in the interview. And I'm like, well, it's because of social workers. But, you know, I think that's a great example, is that we're really trying to make sure that we connect you with someone that is your match. Did anyone have any other questions, or did you guys want to tee in on anything? We've got a couple of questions about what the process looks like. And though the process is a little different with each organization, you know, I think for the most part, there's something that we try and get you a lot of information about us so that you can make an informed decision about what program you want to be involved in. And then we also all have different programs. So there's a community-based program, which is the more traditional mentorship programs. And then there's a site-based program, at least at Middle Tennessee, we've got a site-based program that's based in the schools. And then there's a lot of other, like, I don't want to call them fringe, but there's other programs that we are allowing, that we've created in order to meet the needs of our bigs and our littles. And so there's lots of different programs. We need to educate you on those. And then, so we get you all that information. At some point, you're going to have that interview. There's a written application, and we say written, and it's all online. So you're not having to write it out with pen and paper. And then we'll, the application, the interview, you'll go through a thorough background check. So that's something that we require, and it's a little different across the board for everyone. And then we will make that match. And so our staff will go over everything. We'll take care of, we'll look through all of the information that you've provided and try and match you with a little who's also provided all of that information. And then anyone from any of the other agencies who might want to speak up. I know that with Middle Tennessee, everything that we're doing is virtual. So all of our matches are meeting. Their first meeting is virtual. It's over Zoom. The interviews are virtual. Trainings are virtual. And that's another final thing that I just want to leave with, is that because we do have this national organization backing us, we train our bigs on how to work through these situations and be not just better mentors, but better citizens as well. I don't know if anyone has anything that they want to add.
Thanks, Allison. No, I'm Jessica from Chattanooga. And so I think for a lot of you that are our panelists today, it's been different. We adapted in 2020 with the pandemic. And so virtual online applications are new for all of us. You now can do that. It was a labor of love for all of our agencies to make that happen. And we have training has always been online for most of us, but we have a new training put out by our national office. So for all of you that may have done the old one and been like, they need to update this, it happened. And so we have really pivoted. And Allison, you're so right. Every agency, and based on their area, how they're handling social distancing and virtual activities is different. And so at your own local affiliate, please call us and we can share about that. Teo, since he's ours, thank you for adding that we have been offering some online games. Due to recent cases in our area, we did have people meeting in person, but we encouraged everybody during the month of January. Our cases really spiked. And so our schools pulled back as well. And since our schools were closed also, we moved to virtual and have been having weekly game nights and trying to be able to provide those resources, as each agency and each affiliate has been doing that as well. And I thank you, Allison, for putting all the websites of the different agencies on there so people can reach out.
Thank you. Yeah. And when you close out of here, you're going to get a survey. Please take the survey, please, please. And it'll ask you kind of where you are in your interest as far as like, maybe a little bit later. Yeah, let's go for it. I'm ready. And then it'll also ask you what area you want to be involved, like geographic area that you want to be involved in. I think the only one that's missing is the Tennessee Valley one. And I can go in and add that. But if you have any questions or anything at all, you saw all of our websites, feel free to go to our website. You can also go to our national website, type in your zip code, and it'll tell you what agency is in your area, because I know that that can be a little confusing too. And so if there's not anything else, I can close out and end this today. Thank you so much. What a celebration of National Mentoring Month. Thank you so much to our panelists and to Greg. Wonderful, wonderful job, all of you guys. I'm so glad that we have such wonderful bigs and littles and people in our pockets. So thank you so much. You'll have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday and a good weekend. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.